Hey folks, want to come on and shoot a quick solo episode of the podcast. I got new frames, so in Specsavers, which this isn't sponsored or an advertisement. However, I thought I'd briefly chat about the new frames. I got a 2-for-1 deal, a pair of sunglasses, and they seem to be going well. Bit of a change of look since 2018, I think I had similar frames. I think my granddad had ones as well that were the same. But nonetheless, I wanted to come on and do a quick podcast today. Another 15-minute episode. This one is going to be about the World Happiness Report, something I came across over my career break for health and well-being over the last 4 years. And I've been a bit interested in after going through some mental health difficulties, thankfully on the other side of it now. And I also want to touch upon getting a sponsorship for the show. You can leave your watermark up here, and you can, if you're a business out there, or a hat, or a t-shirt, or a top. I also use products, phone or laptop. So if you know a company out there that's looking to sponsor a show, feel free to reach out. My email is on episode 12, ryanwconlon@gmail.com. That's CONLAN@gmail.com. Excuse me, I just had some food. I'm back on the Glenisc at the moment, drinking the goat's milk. So I'm not. This isn't an advert. This isn't. Yeah, that's not paid, by the way. But so it sounded a bit off. Please forgive me. I just had a liter there, so trying to gain a bit of weight. So for my health and other reasons. But yeah, we'll talk about the World Happiness Report just briefly. For those of you who don't know, the World Happiness Report is, let me just get it up here online. The World Happiness Report, which I already stated, is the world's foremost publication on global well-being and how to improve it. We combine well-being data from over 140 countries with high-quality analysis by world-leading researchers from a range of academic disciplines. By making the essential insights from well-being science accessible to all, we give everyone the knowledge to create more happiness for themselves and others. The annual report is published by the University of Oxford's Wellbeing Research Centre in partnership with Gallup, the UN Sustainability Development Solutions Network, and our editorial board. Our global happiness ranking is based on a single question from the Gallup World Poll, diverted from the Cantrell Self-Anchoring Striving Scale. I think that's correct. Please imagine a ladder with steps numbered from 0 at the bottom to 10 at the top. The top of the ladder represents the best possible life for you, and the bottom of the ladder represents the worst possible life for you. On which step of the ladder would you say you personally feel you stand at this time? And then it goes on to say, to learn more about our methodology, see our frequently asked questions, our story, the World Happiness Report, and much of I'll try to speed this up as much as I can. I will link it below. Back to the story. The World Happiness Report and much of the growing interest in happiness research exists thanks to Bhutan. The sponsored resolution 65309, Happiness Towards a Holistic Approach to Development, adopted by the UN General Assembly on the 19th July 2011, which invited national governments to give more importance to happiness and well-being in determining how to achieve and measure social and economic development. On the 2nd of April 2012, the first World Happiness Report was presented and defining a new economic paradigm, a high-level meeting on well-being and happiness featuring heads of state, senior UN leaders, and world-leading social scientists. On 28th June 2012, the UN General Assembly adopted Resolution 66281, proclaiming 20 March as the International Day of Happiness to be observed annually. I will probably get to the point here in a sec. The World Happiness Report is released around this day each year as part of the celebrations. Since our first edition in 2012, our reports have explored various themes related to global happiness, including age, benevolence, migration, sustainable development, and the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on global well-being. And this is learn more, listen to the John Hewlett Tell Our Story, the Next Page podcast, read our chapter in the Encyclopedia of Happiness, Quality of Life, and Subjective Wellbeing. And then there's an editorial board. John F. Halliwell, Richard Lanyard, which I think I mentioned above, John Halliwell, Richard Lanyard, Jeffrey D. Sachs, Jan Emmanuel Deneuve, Laura B. Aignan, and Shun Wang. And then there's a production team and contributors, which I may as well say their names. Barry Grimes is in the production team. Leoni Boyle, forgive me if I'm incorrect in saying that. Charlotte Day, Jonathan Whitney, Ryan Swaney, John and Stephanie Stislow. Contributors. Since our first edition in 2012, we published over 80 chapters and worked with over 130 contributors from across the world, representing a wide range of academic disciplines. Partners, the World Happiness Report would not be possible without a generous support of our academic partners and corporate sponsors, which is really interesting. You can check it all out on the website. And the reason why I got into this specifically is I think an article came up about Ireland going up two spaces on the World Happiness Report. Let me just check here. FAQ, what is happiness? That's interesting. We'll get back to that in a sec. So at number one, we have, it's based on a number of different factors. One that just comes up here is helped a stranger, volunteer, donated. Number one is Finland, number two, Denmark, 3, Iceland, 4, Sweden, 5, Netherlands. But I think Ireland is 15th. I think they're up from 17th or around 13th. Let me just look it up real quick. Ireland moved up on the World Happiness Reports. Yes, Ireland moved up 2 spots in 2025, ranking 15th in the world. They moved up 2 places, and the happiest country is Finland. I think I mentioned on number 12 as well with the podcast with Brian Kingston on Suicide Prevention Month. The Finnish Miracle. Let me just one sec. Let me just The Finnish Miracle, how the country halved its suicide rate and saved countless lives. The remarkable journey of Finland, as highlighted in the recent Guardian article, shows how a nation halved its suicide rate through comprehensive, well-supported suicide prevention strategies. I may link that below as well if I didn't already on podcast 12. And just super insightful, kind of me trying to figure out, well, I don't want to make this about myself too much, me just trying to figure out overall health and well-being in life. What's interesting to note is on the rankings, which we'll get into what is happiness now in a sec. On the rankings, it goes from left to right, kind of like a Premier League table, which just comes to mind. Life, evaluation, change, inequality, social support, GDP per capita, healthy life expectancy, freedom, generosity, perceptions of corruption, positive emotions, negative emotions, donated, volunteered, and I already mentioned donated, volunteered, help a stranger. Help a stranger is almost like the points total, is it? Which is interesting. When you can go on the website and play around with it, but I don't think it is the points total. It's just, I think the actual rank itself is what matters. It's powered by Gallup Analytics, which I've heard before. I sound like I've never heard of them. Let me just look this up for a sec. I'll get to the whole one thing and so what about this, or the one thing, which is super interesting. They go into frequently asked questions and explains what is happiness. And this is what I want to touch upon maybe today, being it's the World Happiness Report. We'll probably speak about what is Happiness, and many people think of happiness as a positive emotional state associated with smiling, laughing, and feeling good, e.g., I feel happy today. However, people often use happiness to describe their assessments and judgments too, e.g., I am happy with my overall life. We care about both of these aspects, but we usually talk about them using the following scientific terms. And here they are. First one being well-being. Well-being is your inner subjective state, the quality of your life as you experience it. We believe that the ultimate good is the well-being of present and future generations. Other goods like health, wealth, relationships, etc., or etc., are good because they help us feel good. Subjective well-being, when a person, which is the next scientific term, when a person is asked to represent their feelings with a number, they are being asked to rate their subjective well-being. The only way to know how someone is feeling is to ask them, but there are many ways to do this, as we explain below. Life evaluation. One method asks people to provide a reflective assessment of their life overall. Our happiness ranking is based on a life evaluation question derivative from, I think I've already touched upon this, let's go again, from the Cantril self-anchoring striving scale, Cantril ladder. It asks people to rate their life on a 0 to 10 scale, the worst possible life 0 to the best possible life 10. Life satisfaction, like the Cantril ladder, life satisfaction is a specific type of life evaluation question. A common question is overall, how satisfied are you with your life nowadays? From not at all 0 to completely 10. Affect. Another method is to focus on a person's feelings or emotional states, usually at a particular point in time, divided into two opposing categories: positive effect, e.g. laughter, enjoyment, interest, and negative effect, e.g. worry, sadness, anger. A common question is, did you experience enjoyment, worry, etc. during a lot of the day? Yes and no. So that is it, which I want to touch upon. But the main thing, I suppose, the one thing is when they go into the what is happiness, that's what I find most intriguing, which is something over the last, which I may not touch upon now, but for me, there was a point in time where there wasn't that many positive emotions around, so this is super, super interesting, as they define happiness as not just as a positive emotional state or as an assessment or a judgment about how you're feeling, or describing their assessment and judgment how you're feeling, but they also use scientific terms like well-being. So when you're an inner subjective state is your inner well-being is your inner subjective state, the quality of your life as you experience it. Super interesting. And then subjective well-being. But yeah, if there's anything to take away from today is, if you have a bit of spare time this week, I'd go into the World Happiness Report and just have a look around. It's interesting to know how other countries are getting on, how your country is getting on with overall happiness. And for me, my big takeaway, if that's one big takeaway, is to check it out. But my big takeaway, and I don't get paid to say that, by the way, which I think I already mentioned, maybe not, but this isn't, yeah. But my big thing is well-being. Well-being is your inner state, inner subjective state, well-being is your inner subjective state, the quality of life as you experience it. Fascinating stuff. And that's it, folks. I think I'll leave it there. I don't think I've missed anything. Ireland moved up 2 places. Happy days. And yeah. But the one thing, if you have some time this week, feel free to check out the World Happiness Report. Super insightful, and have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Thanks.